let's just go ahead and say it. Let's just go ahead and be honest that while it is definitely something that angers just about everybody, it wasn't surprising.
In Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Let's wait and see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his
Current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son. I mean, what... Yeah. Again, it's all about the contrast.
President Biden saying, I will respect whatever this jury decides, versus right. Donald Trump after he was convicted on 34 counts, saying the entire system is rigged against him.
Just a heads up, this video right here is going to be a little bit more clip heavy than normal, but still at the same time, there is actually a silver lining to all this. So bear with me on this. And one more thing, too. We're going to be talking about what this does to Biden's legacy. Yes, you probably might not care about his Senate career or a two-bit politician, one that has become quite possibly the worst president in American history. But still, though, at the same time, what's the true legacy? So bear with me. I played that little bit there at the very beginning to go after Joe Biden basically saying that he would not pardon Hunter, but yeah. However, there is something that I do need to explain over the course of this video, and while it is hilarious to see Democrats and the media turning on one another at this moment in time, what needs to be said before we really and truly get into this is that there is actually a silver lining here that I think a lot of people have kind of sort of glossed over. Now, we're going to be talking about that silver lining. I'm also going to be briefly talking about Joe's legacy, because his legacy, let's just go ahead and be honest, as a United States Senator and as a president is obviously a complete, total failure. But of course, Biden does not believe that that is the case when obviously it is. But I shall get to that there at the end of the video. So the Hunter Biden pardon. Well, apparently this pardon goes all the way back to, let me remind you.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And
yes, it goes back that far. Now, before we really dive into this, like I said, Joe Biden's legacy will be talked about at the very end. Yes, I'm angered by this, and I think everybody who's watching this video who knows exactly what happened should probably be a little bit angry too because of the standard that it sets. We'll get to that here in a second. However, before we fully dive in, of course, make sure you guys please cut the notifications on. Make sure you guys please still hit the like button, subscribe, all that type of stuff there. Make sure you guys hit the notifications bell so that way you guys notify when the videos come out. And yes, this is the video that I'm doing on Monday evening after getting all the information set to release on Tuesday. But of course, there'll also be a second video coming out tomorrow afternoon as well to go along with this one here. I may release this one at 1 o'clock. And let us go ahead and talk about the precedent that it sets, and not to mention also Joe's legacy. If I could sit here and talk about Hunter Biden, everything that he has done, and also the possibility that Joe Biden himself has even used Hunter Biden and his connections to for his own personal gain, nefarious gain, I think that we would be here for a good 2 or 3 hours because it is, in fact, that deep. If you have an X account, if you've seen everything that has been released as far as Hunter with girls, the laptop, all that type of stuff there, the crack problems, all that type of stuff there, you would obviously say that Hunter Biden is one messed up individual who's done a lot of very, very bad things and should, in fact, go to prison, especially given all the hypocrisy, especially given the fact that the last charge that he had, the thing that he got convicted on was a gun charge, which to me I think is absolutely hilarious given the Democrats and their takes on the Second Amendment. The fact that it was a straw purchase and that he chose to discard the gun by throwing it into a trash can at school around little kids. or the fact that he decided he wanted to start boning his brother Beau, an actual war hero's wife, his sister-in-law, by the way. The fact that he also cheated on his sister, his wife, my bad, I almost said sister. The fact that, of course, that he's been banging and boning strippers and impregnating them and leaving the kids behind, not doing his fatherly thing, and, of course, the family itself. I'm pretty sure I don't need to go too far into that. That's why I'm going to be linking this video from Vince Vintage in the description box, who very, very accurately, yet also satirically explains all of the issues around Hunter Biden. However, I will also be linking this video right here from Mark Dice in the description box as well, because if you watch that video, you will definitely see all the time that the media gaslit us and lied to us and told us that Joe Biden was not going to pardon his son. Only a small amount. But of course, CNN kind of let the cat out of the bag when they basically came out yesterday morning and basically said, which of course this report was actually reported on Sunday, then they basically came out and said that this right here was something that was kind of sort of being mulled over by the Biden administration, which I personally don't believe, because I believe that Joe was always going to pardon Hunter Biden. But I think that the guy you're seeing here in the B-roll footage, Kash Patel, being named Trump's FBI director, I think that kind of hastened the process, but let me play it for you.
Sort of came to a head this weekend, and this is why President Biden decided now to do this. But as Isaac was just saying, that really is a sense of the conversation that has been going on really inside the family. And I'm told this has been very much a family discussion and something that has been not widely shared or discussed as a policy matter inside the West Wing. But there was a worry of future prosecutions or future potential of what the incoming Trump Justice Department could do. So that, of course, is freighted in all of this as well.
Let's be honest, he was going to pardon Hunter anyways. I mean, the precedent that this right here sets to me, however, that's the actual silver lining. I mean, serial never Trumper Joe Walsh, he had an extremely astute take on this. Let's watch some of this.
See, I told you so. They're all like that. So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. For those of us who have been out there for a few years now yelling about what a unique threat Donald Trump is, for Joe Biden to do something like this, Trump, nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law. Donald Trump lies every time he opens his mouth, we've been screaming. Joe Biden repeatedly lied about this. The politicization of the justice system. Donald Trump and his people have been screaming. Well, that's exactly what Biden said here.
Joe, is this a politics of...
And believe me, there is more, because he did say some more things that, quite frankly, confirms the silver lining that we're about to get into.
Because you're right. Joe Biden repeatedly said he wouldn't do this. So he repeatedly lied. But this just furthers the cynicism that people have about politics. And that cynicism strengthens Trump. Because Trump can just say, I'm not a unique threat. Everybody does this. If I do something for my kid, my son-in-law, whatever, look, Joe Biden does the same thing. I get it, but this was a selfish move by Biden.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law. As you guys are seeing right here in the B-roll footage, all the politicians that said that nobody was above the law. Of course, they were talking about Donald Trump. We will get to that here in a second, the president-elect. And of course, I've already mentioned the fact that Kash Patel has been named, or this right here is Trump's pick for the FBI director, which makes you think that obviously there's going to be some investigations. Now, some people have theorized that Joe Biden did this to kind of kick the Democrats in the knees, kick them in the balls right before he decided to leave the Oval Office. And of course, he's been hiding bodies for the deep state for pretty much his entire existence, especially going back to those days where he apparently went to D.C. to prostitute himself.
Sure, you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though. The system does produce corruption, and I think implicit in the system is corruption, when in fact, whether or not you can run for public office, and it costs a great deal of money to run for the United States Senate, even from a small state like Delaware, you have to go to those people who have money, and they always want something. See, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talk about it.
We'll talk more about that when we get to the end of the video. Don't worry, we're on our way there, especially when we talk about Joe Biden's legacy. But the point is this right here. Trump, of course, he's going to go out there and he's going to pardon all the J6ers, which of course he should. Well, maybe not every single one, because there obviously were a few agitators there, but still, though, that's why he said case-by-case basis. The precedent that Joe Biden has set here is that Donald Trump, everything that he said, as I've been saying and many other conservative YouTubers have been saying, is 100% true. It's a double standard. It's a ridiculous double standard. This right here tells people that if my father is a politician or a man of power, I can do whatever the hell I want, and somebody will, in fact, come in and save me. And something else, too, as you guys will see here in a minute, Scott Jennings, once again, with the hammer and the facts, and, of course, bringing up the points that a lot of others are probably thinking about at this moment in time. Let me roll it.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what.
100%. Everything that Scott Jennings said, 100% correct. Everything that Joe Walsh said, 100% correct. Even though Joe Walsh is obviously an extreme never-Trumper who probably has some stuff on his record that he probably does not want investigated. That's probably the real reason why Joe Walsh is raising the amount of hell that he's raising. But still, though, people are obviously going to want some kind of answers. And even with a very, very slim majority in Congress, those investigations are probably going to uncover a lot. Trust me, they will vote with Trump when it comes to the economic agenda, that there being Congress and the Senate. Of course, you'll have some holdouts on some certain things. But, of course, the more and more and more the stories pile up, the more and more you begin to look into things, the more and more people are going to demand some form of justice. They're going to demand some form of retribution, and therefore they're going to look at the Democrats as being the party that tried to persecute their political opposition. You will see why. You will see all the answers. You will see who the hell was really and truly behind that. The truth be told is Joe Biden did irreparable harm to the ones who are currently sitting in the United States government or the House of Congress or the chambers of the United States Senate. That right there is what's really and truly going on here. And Scott Jennings is here just simply saying what the vast majority of us are already thinking. This right here is obviously a load of BS. Pardoning your son for all the crimes that he may have committed between his time at Burisma all the way to today. I mean, it's two different sets of justice is what it is. People see this and they think to themselves, my God, it's the elites. The elites is what this government is for. It's for protecting the elites. But also to go on top of that, most importantly, though, that I think needs to be said about this nation is that while it is true that this nation does, in fact, love a hero, this is also a nation that does actually enjoy watching a false hero fall, which is exactly what the mainstream media has created with Biden, with Obama, and the Democrats. People can now see exactly how deep the rabbit hole really and truly is. Basically, what I'm saying to you guys is that they gave Donald Trump basically carte blanche to pretty much do whatever when it comes to investigations. And even though these Democrats do, in fact, believe that they are, in fact, protected by the media, they're starting to find out that the media, of course, is the actual overlords of the Democratic Party. They're starting to find out that they're not going to be as reliable when it comes to protecting them, as you will see in this segment here with Breonna Taylor and Dan Goldman.
In July of 2023, just after that plea deal fell through, this is what you said. I want to watch.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends and anyone who had any access to him. And I think you see that in this case, where he kept on, and Merrick Garland kept on, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney to investigate the president's son. If there is not an indication of the independence of the Department of Justice beyond that, I don't know what we could look for.
I mean, what does that feel like, watching yourself back then, reassuring people that Biden was not going to issue a pardon for his son?
Yeah, and I think that if that plea agreement and that plea deal had gone through, there would be no pardon. That was a satisfactory outcome.
It already fallen through.
I found that to be absolutely hilarious. Did you guys catch it when Breonna Kyler said, basically, you know, this right here had already dropped? Did you guys catch that?
Sorry?
When you reacted, this was when the deal had fallen through.
It had already fallen through. Let's play it again.
Through, there would be no pardon. That was a satisfactory outcome.
It already fallen through.
It had already fallen through. No chance at a plea. It had already fallen through before Joe Biden said no pardon. The people who are most angry about this are the mainstream media. And the reason why is because the media has their own agenda, okay? And I agree 100% with Bill O'Reilly when he says that the Democratic Party is a wing of the media. It is the enforcement wing of the media and what the media wants. So it makes me wonder exactly how the media is going to treat this particular crop of Democrats and left-wingers going forward, especially given the fact that one of their biggest propaganda wings, that right there being MSDNC, is about to go out of business. If you think for a second that these people are just going to go to CNN, I want you to know something right now. I know people who are liberal who started watching MSNBC because CNN was not liberal enough. It wasn't liberal enough for them. I don't see CNN's ratings getting any higher. I don't see them getting any lower. But I definitely see a lot of MSNBC viewers, watchers, suddenly finding themselves back in the echo chamber. But still, though, at the same time, the agendas of the two are not the same. The media's got their own agenda. The Democratic Party has their own agenda. They meet in the middle. And that is part of the reason why it is that the mainstream media gives them such glowing praise, because the Democratic Party is the ones who carry out what the media wants. That right there is the real truth. Not to mention, it also sets the precedent for the DOJ to, let's just say, investigate the media, who I believe is the real culprit of all the nonsense in this country. May warn another video in the future, but of course I did tell you guys that obviously there was going to be a bit where I was going to talk a little bit about Joe Biden's legacy and what this does. Joe Biden has been a United States Senator since 1972. He has voted to the left on every single issue in American history. He has actually taken the wrong position when it comes to anything foreign policy related. This is also the same guy who gave us the crime bill, which of course incarcerated an entire generation of black men. This is also the same guy who basically performed an almost public lynching of Clarence Thomas, the whole Anita Hill thing. That right there may warrant a video in the future, although there may be a different video, maybe a different channel in the future. I did tell you guys that we're going to have 3 channels going in the next year. And to go on top of that, the guy, obviously, he was in charge of advising former President Clinton on Russia. And, of course, we're dealing with a lot of crap, which, of course, is the result of all of his advising, at least as far as the Bill Clinton is concerned. That right there is also another video at a later date. Oh, and not to mention the fact that he was also Vice President of the United States, full of gaffes. And, of course, the other thing, of course, is the current administration now. Do I need to go through all the failures of this administration? The abuse of power, the use of the DOJ to target political opponents, the use of the DOJ to target Catholic institutions, pro-life institutions. Oh, yeah, that's right. The attempted forcing of the untested poke on the American people, the attempted forcing of masking on people, the attempted forcing of DEI on people. That's right, the failed Voting Rights Act they tried to pass, which, of course, would have turned this country into a one-party state. Also, Build Back Better, which, of course, ran or the American Rescue Plan, which ran our bill right through the roof. And, of course, we've now got rampant inflation. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Afghanistan withdrawal, the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, that got 11 Marines killed, that got a corpsman killed, also got a soldier killed. And also at the exact same time, not only did that there occur, but he did this after pushing back the treaty we had with the Taliban, the withdrawal date from May to September, because he wanted a photo op. Trump had a conditions-based withdrawal set in place with the QRF force. Biden scrapped all that, pissed off the Taliban, and made things a lot worse. And then, of course, shut down one of the exit points for our men. Colonial pipeline, war with Russia, Ukraine. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be missing a lot. Chaotic Middle East. Basically allowing progressives carte blanche to do whatever in his administration. And of course, I got to mention inflation again because it's been out of control. People have lost money. This right here is literally one of the worst presidents we've ever had, maybe the worst president. But what is Joe Biden's real legacy? What is his real legacy? What's every man's legacy? His children. His children. Joe Biden raised his son, and I understand the circumstances behind Joe Biden's first wife dying. Joe Biden raised his son that would eventually get addicted to crack cocaine, remain on crack, would take advantage of his father's power, get a seat at Burisma, continue to aid and abet his son's habits, while also at the exact same time exploiting them for his own personal gain. That is Joe Biden's true legacy. You can say whatever you want to about his presidency. You can say whatever you want to about his time as a U.S. Senator. You can say whatever you want to as his time as vice president. But when your son turns out like Hunter Biden, that speaks more on you than anything that you could do as a leader. This right here speaks on you as a man. Yes, I understand families have problems, but you're a United States Senator. You could have stepped in and you could have helped out with this issue long before you got to the vice presidency, long before you got to the presidency. I think that Joe Biden's legacy is total, outright, full-blown failure. And let me tell you what's going to happen as a result of this failure. I'm going to tell you this very, very briefly because this video has gone on longer than I wanted it to go, way longer. Joe Biden's going to leave the Oval Office. Trump's going to become the president, barring anything 12th Amendment related, which of course would fail. And I do believe that you're going to see more chaos. He's going to leave the administration. He's going to be out there for a year, and the mainstream media is going to give him an opportunity to explain what happened. He's going to give his side of the story, but the media is not going to care. They're going to bury him anyways. Joe Biden will be the scapegoat for everything that goes wrong with the Democratic Party over the next 4 years because, trust me, it's going to get a lot worse. And I did tell you guys that, 2024, you're going to be looking back on these videos before I switch over and start doing much more pop culture content. And you're going to say, this guy right here was 100% correct. He called all of this going in the future with Trump's second term. Trust me. But then again, though, at the same time, though, those topics still may come up. With that right there being said, you guys, please tell me what you think. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. And I'll see you guys later.